You know those people who seem to have a body part so huge it completely escapes what is normal? Yeah, there are folks out there with enormous hands, giant feet, or absurd muscles that impress anyone, being almost real-life mutants. And that is exactly what you are going to see here today. So already drop your like, click the button below to subscribe, and let's go. Yu Jiangxia from China entered the record book in 2016 when one of her eyelashes, located on the upper eyelid of the left eye, reached 12.4 centimeters. 5 years later, the growth did not stop. In 2021, she was measured again and set a new record, with one eyelash of 20.5 centimeters. According to her, the discovery happened in 2015 when she noticed that her eyelashes grew in an unusual way. She looked for medical and scientific explanations but did not find answers. No relative showed the same characteristic, which made the case even more mysterious. For Yu, the phenomenon has a spiritual meaning. She believes the long strands are a divine gift, the result of a period when she lived for more than a year in contact with nature in the mountains. What might seem bothersome in practice does not get in her way. She says her eyelashes do not bring difficulties. On the contrary, they even serve as a substitute for makeup, dispensing with eyeliner or eyeshadow. When a strand falls or breaks, it grows back without major problems. The record ended up also becoming a form of self-esteem. Yu says that despite having been born fragile, today she feels stronger and healthier, and many people consider her younger than she really is. For her, the mark achieved is not just a title, but a reason for joy and inspiration. In addition to valuing her own uniqueness, the Chinese woman says she wants to celebrate other unconventional forms of beauty, such as extremely long hair or nails. Her wish is that people with unique characteristics take pride in them and find happiness in what makes them different. Michael Ruffinelli from Los Angeles, California in the United States draws attention around the world because of her unusual measurements. With hips that reach more than 2.5 meters in circumference, she believes she has the widest hips on the planet. According to Mikkel, her body is not the result of surgery or extreme dieting, but rather of genetics. She says the characteristic is common in her family and that after each pregnancy, her hips increased even more. Today, the mother of 4 children, she lives with curious looks, comments, and even strangers taking pictures whenever she leaves the house. The hip size also imposes practical challenges in day-to-day life. Passing through narrow doors or getting into the shower stall requires extra effort, and standing for a long time can cause pain. To maintain her health, Mikkel exercises with her daughters and includes light activities in the family routine, such as dancing at home. Despite the difficulties, she says she feels good about her body and prefers to live with curves rather than follow thinness standards. Her husband, Reggie, reinforces this feeling and says he fell in love with her personality on the very first date. Mikkel sees her proportions as part of her identity and femininity. For her, accepting one's own shape is more important than fitting into a standard. Her story divides opinions, but it also conveys a clear message. The pursuit of happiness should be linked to self-love and not to others' approval. A physical characteristic that was once a reason for insecurity ended up becoming the mark that led a 31-year-old young woman to worldwide recognition. Since childhood, she knew she had a mouth larger than average, and because of that, was the target of cruel nicknames and bullying at school. What was once seen as a reason for shame, decades later turned into prominence on social media, and finally into an official title. With videos that mix humor, music, and unusual challenges, her mouth became the star of content that quickly went viral. Tests with foods, objects, and even pranks with friends attracted millions of views, making her accumulate more than 1 million followers. The unexpected repercussion paved the way for an even greater feat, to win the world record for the largest mouth opening for a woman. According to her, the recognition brought a sense of personal victory. What in the past generated pain and embarrassment is now a reason for pride. More than numbers and fame, the title was seen as a response to those who criticized her, and as proof that unique characteristics can become strengths. Today, she advocates that each person should value what makes them different, even if it initially seems strange or out of the standard. For her, singularities should be seen as superpowers. Her case is an example of how accepting what was once seen as a flaw can open doors and inspire others to celebrate their own individuality. Fu Wengui, a 15-year-old teenager from Beijing, China, drew attention for having what is considered one of the longest necks in the world. The reason for this lies in a rare condition. He was born with 3 extracervical vertebrae beyond what is normal. While most people have 7, he has 10, which makes his neck visibly elongated. Despite the unusual appearance, the condition brought not only curiosity, but also serious difficulties. The abnormal elongation of the spine causes constant pain, to the point of making locomotion difficult and limiting simple day-to-day activities. The diagnosis is congenital scoliosis, a problem that arises still in the embryonic phase, about 6 weeks after conception. To improve his quality of life, doctors in Beijing planned surgery to remove the extra vertebrae. The treatment, which involves risks and specific care, was only possible thanks to the support of a local charity that offered to fund the procedure. While the operation does not happen, Fu continues facing the challenges brought by the condition, but he also inspires debates about the importance of access to healthcare in rare and delicate cases. His story is marked by the hope that after surgery, he can finally live without pain and with more freedom. Svetlana Pankratova, a 36-year-old Russian woman, gained worldwide notoriety by entering the record book as the holder of the longest legs ever recorded, with an impressive 1.32 meters in length. To give you an idea, that measurement equals the height of a 10-year-old child. Added to the rest of her body, her stature reaches 1.96 meters, which makes her a striking figure wherever she goes. Although she is not the tallest woman in the world, the combination of height and leg proportion has turned her into a true phenomenon. During her teenage years, Svetlana even felt discomfort regarding her own body. The out-of-the-ordinary size of her legs drew excessive attention, and that often made her insecure. Over time, however, she learned to deal with this unique characteristic and began to see it as a reason for pride. Today, she makes a point of valuing her appearance, often choosing clothes that highlight her legs and reinforce her self-confidence. What once seemed like a burden turned into a mark of identity. Svetlana shows that it is possible to transform insecurities into strengths and achieve worldwide recognition precisely for what set her apart. Andrea Ivanova, a 26-year-old Bulgarian young woman who became known worldwide for her radical aesthetic transformations and for lips considered the biggest in the world, surprised people by abandoning traditional fillers to try a new and controversial procedure. This time, she decided to invest in applications made from umbilical cord cells, a technique that is still recent and surrounded by debates in aesthetic medicine. According to Andrea, the treatment was motivated by the promise of rejuvenation and tissue regeneration. The cells used, called exosomes, work as biological messengers that carry proteins and other essential elements between the body's cells. When injected directly into the skin, these particles stimulate collagen production, promote a lifting effect, and help recover possible skin damage. The influencer says she already feels immediate results, saying she feels up to 10 years younger after the application. The cost of the procedure was 645 pounds, which is about $865 US. And according to the doctors who treated her, the most evident effects should appear within up to 6 weeks. Even without knowing exactly how the material is obtained, Andrea guarantees she was not afraid of complications and already has another session scheduled for the coming months. For her, it is a true revolution in skincare, capable of giving her a healthier, firmer, and more luminous appearance. Kala Kiwi, a tattoo and body modification artist from Hawaii, in the United States, won the world record for the largest non-surgically stretched earlobes, with a diameter large enough for an entire hand to pass through. His elongated earlobes measure 109 millimeters and stand out among several other modifications he has, including silicone horns implanted, stretches in the nostrils, tattooed eyebrows, piercings spread across the face, split tongue, and screws with spikes on the forehead. Kayla began his training in Las Vegas in 1999 and after returning to Hawaii, opened his studio dedicated to this kind of body art. Earlobe stretching, known as flesh tunnels, has its origin in the practices of indigenous peoples and has already been recorded in historical figures such as the Egyptian pharaoh Tutankhamun. One of the earliest human records was that of Otzi, the Iceman, discovered in the Italian Alps, who showed small stretches of 7 to 11 millimeters in tattoos spread across his body. In Western culture, elongated earlobes first became popular among punk and rock subcultures, and today they appear even among celebrities. Despite their growing acceptance, extreme extensions are still associated with counterculture, representing a greater commitment to alternative aesthetics and to bodily artistic expression. According to specialists, the more extreme the stretching, the more it highlights an individual's dedication to a non-conventional style and to artistic self-expression. Jason Orlando Rodriguez from Venezuela won the Guinness title for the largest foot in the world, but his life is marked by challenges due to unmeasured growth. He measures 2.38 meters in height and wears size 74, being the third tallest man on the planet. Diagnosed with acromegaly and gigantism at 2 years of age, he began to grow rapidly from 8 years old, reaching almost 1.90 meters at 10. Growth outside the pattern affected his health, mobility, and quality of life. Jason lives in Maracay, in the state of Aragua, in Venezuela, and needed to travel to Caracas to seek help with treatments and food, since he does not have the resources to pay for the medications that control his gigantism. The absence of appropriate injections causes intense headaches, changes in behavior, and difficulties with eating and sleeping. His brother Jairo reports that without treatment, daily life becomes extremely difficult. In addition to health problems, Jason faces practical obstacles, limited transportation, clothes and shoes impossible to find, and even vehicles damaged by his weight. Despite this, he keeps hope and faith, believing that God will provide the right people to help him. His goal is to have continuous access to treatment, improve his quality of life, and inspire solidarity in society, showing that even in the face of enormous challenges, it is possible to seek support and fight for one's dreams. Jeff Dabe became known worldwide for the impressive size of his hands, which measure about 30 centimeters in width. On social networks, his unusual appearance has already attracted tens of millions of views, but his fame is not limited to curiosity alone. He is also an arm wrestling champion and demonstrates out of the ordinary strength. A native of Minnesota, he grew up on a farm where, from an early age, he carried bales of hay and did heavy work. This routine ended up serving as a form of natural training, strengthening arms and hands over the years. Unlike many athletes, he does not follow elaborate gym workouts or strict diets. He prefers to keep a simple life, with traditional food and activities in the field as the main form of physical conditioning. Jeff was born with this unique characteristic. He even underwent medical tests to check if he had any disorder related to growth, but he did not receive a diagnosis. During childhood, he faced difficulties for being different, even suffering teasing at school. Over time, he learned to live with his condition and turned what seemed like an obstacle into a competitive advantage. In addition to competitions, he gained prominence in shows and videos on the internet, participating in strength tests and showing daily situations in which his enormous hands draw attention. Holding common objects, using a cell phone, or even eating a hamburger become out of the standard experiences. Today, Jeff faces his trajectory naturally and often says he sees no problem at all in being different. Nicholas James Stobo from the United Kingdom holds the world record for the largest tongue ever recorded. The unique characteristic drew attention early on as he noticed that both he and his younger brother Chad had exceptionally long tongues. Since childhood, the brothers played by showing their tongues, which made them aware of the family peculiarity. Nicholas's tongue is not only a curiosity, he found creative ways to use it in daily life. One of his most notable uses is in painting, where he manages to apply paint to canvases with surprising precision, exploring his ability in an artistic way. In addition, the tongue facilitates small everyday tasks, making some habits more practical in an unusual way. Although it is a unique trait, Nicholas faces peculiar social situations. When meeting new people, he often needs to show his tongue because his fame precedes introductions. The condition, although uncommon, has become a trademark of his personality and a way to express himself with humor and creativity. A woman known as the Eye Popper holds the world record for the largest voluntary displacement of the eyes, recorded in the record book. Her ability allows the eyes to project about 12 millimeters out of the sockets, a measurement that increased compared to the previous record of 11 millimeters, established in 2007. She discovered the ability accidentally when she got hurt during a play and realized she could control the movement of her eyes. With a lot of practice in front of the mirror, she developed a technique on her own, without tricks or auxiliary devices. The feat drew attention for being unusual and even considered scary by some, while others were fascinated and wanted to see the demonstration repeatedly. Her ability gained notoriety when she participated in an audition for David Letterman's show at CBS in Chicago, Illinois in the United States. The presentation made her career take off, yielding invitations for international trips, commercials, and appearances in several countries. Despite the impressive appearance, she guarantees that the procedure does not cause pain, does not dry out the eyes, nor does it pose a risk of them staying stuck outside the orbit. Curiosity about her performance extends even to unusual questions, but she explains that her daily life is not affected. Since childhood, she stood out for large eyes and today turns this characteristic into a profession, being paid to demonstrate her unique ability to the public. Gary Turner holds the world record for having the most elastic skin in the world, an extremely rare condition known as Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, which affects the structure of collagen in the skin. Thanks to this genetic anomaly, his skin can be stretched far beyond normal and returns to its original position without causing pain. Gary discovered his talent as a child, around 8 years old, while playing with friends, realizing that he could stretch his skin in unusual ways. Over his life, he improved the ability, demonstrating his skin on arms, neck, abdomen, and even managing to form knots with it, impressing audiences and curious people. Despite the elasticity, Gary faces some limitations. His skin heals slowly, bruises appear easily, and cuts take time to heal. Other than that, the condition does not interfere with his routine or cause significant physical discomfort. Gary became famous for showcasing his ability at events and television programs, attracting attention from medical professionals and the general public. To officially validate his record, a Guinness World Records judge and specialists measured his skin, registering 14.2 centimeters of stretch, consolidating him as the title holder. Do not forget to subscribe to watch more videos like this.